Well, hey there, crafty friends. Suzanne in the studio today with another installment in our Stash Bash Through Challenges series. Today we're talking about a challenge I just happened to find on YouTube, and it's called Sheetload of Cards. This is done by Allison, although she says you can call her Crafty Al, and each month she puts out a sheet of instructions for cards, and it gives you the cutting directions for the cardstock and the pattern paper, and it tells you how many cards you can get from one sheet of paper. So it's a pretty cool challenge. It's fun to see what she does, and I've subscribed to her channel so I can see myself using lots more of her card sketches. Okay, do you want to see what I actually did? Let me show you. Okay, for January, here is her card, and this is the mini slimline size. And here is what I did. As you can see, she has her sentiment. She put her slightly off center, but on this one, I decided to put it front and center. I have the paper in the background is the rows of herbs. And so then I fussy cut one of those and used it for my center sort of sentiment here. And these will just be good, fun cards to send. Happy Easter, happy spring, happy best of everything. Those fun. Here I went to my binder of leftover stickers, and I found a few that would work. So I've got this happy with the squiggle line on it and then an enamel dot. Here I found a flower and high, and the colors were good for that. And then I added a little enamel dot. And did you notice here I've switched around? Here we've got the leaves in the background, and we've got the flower pots or herb pots in the foreground. So very, very fun. And then another here. Again, I love this. Lots of layers on this one, which is kind of why on some of them I didn't necessarily do another circle, but I went and got things from my stash. When you're making cards, you have to, sometimes the embellishments I pull for scrapbook pages, which are usually thicker or heavier, I don't normally use on cards. So that's sometimes why I end up going to my stash instead of my kit when I'm working on cards. There's January. Okay, what do we have for February? This is a standard card size here. And as soon as I saw these 1-inch strips, I knew exactly which paper would work for this. And here we have it. It's that Bella Boulevard paper that had the rows of flowers. And when I cut those down to 1 inch, they were almost exactly perfect. So this was probably my favorite cards of the ones I made. Just because the paper did the work, it was just perfectly suited to this challenge. And then wishing you a speedy recovery. Here I did her sentiment, and then again I added dots, and here some flowers from my stash. Again, trying to keep it as flat as possible. Okay, there's February. What about March? Here we have it. This is a really cute pattern too, using 3 different size papers on the top and 1 on the bottom. Look how cute this turned out. The butterfly paper was just perfect for this. And then I added some butterflies from my stash as well as 2 enamel dots. This one I decided to do with 2 different color bases because I'm really trying to use up a lot of old 8.5 by 11. I have some really nice 8.5 by 11 and a lot of colors, and I never think to reach for it. So I'm trying to start to reach for it as card bases going forward. Okay, so there we have the sheet load of cards. While I was still in card mode, I decided to pull out a stamp that I had just gotten from Close to My Heart and do my Easter cards. And this stamp is called, Stamp and Thin Cut set, called God is Love. And I particularly liked, excuse me, I particularly liked this cross that was filled in with flowers. So let me show you what I did. I went to my 100 sheets of pattern paper and I pulled out several different ones that would be good for backgrounds. And here's one. So I stamped the image on a piece of white cardstock, and then I have actually put this down with thin foam tape, except not at the bottom. And then I added this layer. I had an old die that cut this fancy border, and then I stamped this with Easter blessings. I colored all of this in with my Spectrum Noir tri-blend markers. It was a lot of fun. And then I went to my stash for some little bitty bling from Queen & Company that I'd had forever. So there's the first one. And then here's the second one. This is another piece from my 100 pattern pieces. So I'm kind of knocking down 2 challenges at once here, aren't I? So that's just a different color combination. I had 2 sheets of this, so I ended up making twice as many of this as any other card, but then I had run out of enough bling there, so I switched to these sort of yellow sunbursts. I think those look real cute. And then one more, another pattern paper. This one's got more of a milky watercolor color to it, but I thought it still went well with the markers I was using. So I got a couple of dozen cards, about 6 cards out of each, because I believe this is a cut down from a 4. It's probably a 4 by 5 1/4. So I was able to get 6 of those out of one sheet of 12 by 12 paper. So that was kind of my own sheet load of cards, wasn't it? Okay. At that point, I still had some of my kit left. So I did one more layout, and this one's fun. Here you see that same leaf paper that I used for some cards, but I decided I wanted to do this layout, and this was a weekend trip. We were just meandering around southern Indiana into southern Illinois on our way to St. Louis one weekend, and we came across some interesting places. So I collaged some pictures here and then gave sort of pride of place to this great big colorful collage that was painted on one of the sides of the buildings in downtown Waterloo, Illinois. So I told my story using Flip Flap, and then I did my title this way because I wanted to put all of my embellishments sort of right down the middle. So even though the pictures are going this way, here and here, your attention is always going to be drawn kind of to the middle, and then I lined up the words from this particular mural also. So all the busy stuff is kind of right in the middle. And it was just so much fun just to do the embellishments. Let me show you those. I did add in, that wasn't in my kit, I did add in from my stash these butterflies because the green was so perfect. And then I kind of wanted some red at the top and the bottom. So it was so much fun to use all these little bits and bobs. I especially like these buttons, because the green one mimics this pattern really well, but the blue and the red also work well too. So it was very, very fun layout. So at that point, I had used all the pattern paper up out of this kit. Let me show you what I had as far as the rest of the kit that I'm going to put back in my stash. I had cardstock, which is no big deal. That always goes back into my stash real easy. And I had used a little bit of a lot of things, but I didn't really use up all of anything. And I think that's just the way these are with these kits when you put a whole package of something in. So I used one of those frames. I used some buttons. I had used some of these black dots. I did not use any of these paper clips. I used a few of these enamel dots. I used a couple of these epoxy stickers. Even though these were Bella Boulevard, these just didn't seem to go with what I was scrapping, so I did not use either of those, nor did I use the Bella Boulevard bows. I used quite a few of these little black and white boxes and words. I was happy about that. I used quite a bit off of this sticker sheet, and I used a couple of these stickers, one from each side. Relax, and then I think this one was happy. I also used at least, I think I used 3 of these. I think I used one smiley face and a couple of cameras out of there. And then here's that empty package of the Studio Calico butterflies. Okay, but then I still had left quite a bit in this box, including, I still didn't touch these metal turns and brads and frames. So I've got to think about that, whether it might be time just to pass those on to somebody who might use them. So I still have quite a bit of this left. And as I had told you, because some of this is fairly bulky, it didn't really work as well on cards. And I ended up doing quite a bit of cards from this kit as well as from some layouts. So, but I'm to the point where, okay, I'm good. I can put all of this back in my stash. And then I think we're going to have just one more installment of this Stash Bash through challenges. And that should be fun too. And then we'll move on to other things. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, I really would love to hear from you. All right, bye for a bit.